Can you still go from a HDB to owning 2 properties within the next few years? Because I recently worked with a client who started with a 460K flat and today they are holding about 5.1 million worth of property within 9 years. So the real question is, can this still be done today or has the window already started closing? If you are a HDB owner looking to upgrade, this is the video to watch. Coming back to the question, can you still upgrade from a HDB and own multiple properties in a short frame of 4 to 7 years? And to be honest, the answer is it depends. But what I can tell you is this, I've seen it happen before, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through a real example step by step, and more importantly, what has changed in today's market. The client themselves, they started with a BTO and they bought it at 460K, and within about 9 years, they grew their position to holding 2 properties with a combined value of about 5.1 million. If you enjoy content like this, you can consider liking and subscribing. I'll be sharing more breakdowns like this to help you navigate your property journey with more clarity. So let's break this down step by step. Back in 2017, they secured a BTO unit at around 460K in a premium location. Now this is important because not all BTOs perform the same way. Location plays a big role. Accessibility, surrounding amenities and future developments all contribute to demand. So over the next few years, as the market moves and the demand retains strong for well-located HDBs, the value of the unit increased. So by 2022, they exited at around 860K. And this is where many people underestimate the HDB phase because this is where your first layer of capital is built. So if you enter well and you exit at the right time, this becomes your stepping stone for your next move. So in 2022, they upgraded into a private strata landed property at around 2.6 million. Now this is a big jump and not everyone will be comfortable doing this, but because they had already built capital from their first property, their financial position allows them to make this move more comfortably. So over the next few years, landed and strata landed homes saw strong demand, especially from upgraders. So by around 2025, they exited at approximately 3.5 million. And this is what I call momentum. Once you enter the market correctly and your asset starts working for you, your next move becomes easier. After that exit, they reposition again, this time into 2 properties, a freehold resale 4-bedroom unit at around 3 million and a 3-bedroom new launch at about 2.1 million. So from one single asset, they transition into holding 2 properties. And if you look at the full journey from 460K to about 5.1 million in assets over roughly 9 years. So this is not about luck, this is about progression, timing and also decision making. It's not about buying the biggest property from the start, it's about making the right move at each stage. So each entry point matters because your entry determines your future flexibility, and more importantly, they didn't just hold, they reposition when it makes sense. Now this is where we need to bring it back to today's market because what worked in the past may not work out in exactly the same way moving forward in the market right now. One major factor we need to look at is the increasing supply of HDB units reaching MOP. So for this year and into next year, we are seeing a large number of flats hitting their MOP. And based on figures from the Ministry of National Development, around 13,500 HDB flats are expected to reach their MOP this year in 2026. And what this means is more supply is entering the resale HDB market. Now, how does this affect you as an upgrader? If you are currently holding onto your HDB and already MOP, you're already thinking whether you should wait or sell, this becomes very important because as more supply enters the market, right, competition increases. And when competition increases, definitely it becomes harder to push for better prices. So if you hold on too long, hoping to sell at a higher price, you may find yourself competing with many similar units entering the market. And at the same time, right, while you are waiting, the private property market may continue to move. So you may end up in a situation where your selling price doesn't increase as much, while your buying price has already moved up. And this creates what I call a timing gap where waiting may eventually cost you more than acting earlier. Now, if we take this one step further, this is where it gets even more interesting because while we are seeing a significant increase in HDB supply, we also need to look at what's happening on the private property side. So while there are new launches coming into the market, the overall supply pipeline remains relatively measured. So if you think about it, out of the 13,500 HDB flats reaching MOP, even if only 20% of these owners decide to cash out and upgrade, there is already a significant pool of buyers entering the private property market. And the question now becomes, is the upcoming private housing supply enough to absorb this demand? And this is where supply and demand dynamics start to shift. Because on one side, you have interesting supply in the HDB resale market, but on the other side, you have a growing pool of upgraders entering a private property market where supply is not expanding at the same pace. So when demand itself starts to outweigh the supply, right, prices tend to remain supported over time. So what this means is this timing becomes even more important because if you delay your move, right, you may actually face more competition when you sell your HDB while entering a private market that is gradually become more competitive. competitive. If this is useful and helpful so far, you can consider liking and subscribing as well. I'll continue to share more breakdowns like this so you can stay ahead when making property decisions. So instead of asking, can I own 2 properties? A better question is, what is my next best step from where I am today? Because once you make the right move at the right time, the next opportunity opens up. And I know for some of you watching this, you might be thinking, what if I can't secure a BTO? Because let's be honest, BTO sometimes feel like a bit of a luck game, and not everyone gets a good ballot number or unit they are happy with. So the question then becomes, should you consider a resale HDB or even a private property as you start your starting point instead? And this really depends on your financial position, your timeline, and your long-term goals. There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. This is why planning becomes even more important. If you are currently in that situation and trying to figure out what makes the most sense for you, feel free to reach out to me at 93800434. I'll be happy to walk you through your options with you on a one-to-one basis and help you match your next move to your goals. And if you found this helpful, to consider liking and subscribing. I'll continue to share insights like this so you can better navigate the market and make more informed decisions. Till the next video, bye bye!